Hey guys, this is Reverend Sean over at the Center Path, and there seems to be some confusion about the Eightfold Path and some of the definitions. And one of the things we have to do is get pretty precise with our words and phrases and how we're looking at things, because the more precise we are, the better we can discuss things. And so I've gathered a couple references involved with the Eightfold Path. Now the Eightfold Path, if we look at the Noble Eightfold Path. Let's go here. I'm going to read it from this, which is called the Seeker's. This is the Seeker's Glossary of Buddhism, edited by the Van Hien Study Group out of the United States and Canada. And I got this in like 2014, I think, something like that. This is a 2003 edition, and on page 216, it's the Seeker's diary, the Seeker's whatever it's called, Seeker's Glossary, right? Okay, the Buddhist scheme of moral and spiritual self-development leading to enlightenment. Two of the most important summaries in the Buddha's teachings, which are the basics of all Buddhist schools, are the Four Noble Truths and the Noble Eightfold Path. These he realized at his enlightenment and taught in his first sermon. The truths are often compared to a doctor's diagnosis of a disease and his remedy for it, which is what I explained. I'll put it up here or up here, whatever, the little thing that you can see where I talk about that as the prescription, which is the Four Noble Truths, actually. The fundamental teachings of the Sakyamuni Buddha, the path to liberation. Number 1, right view, understanding the Four Noble Truths and having penetrative insight into reality or emptiness. Number 2, right thought, having only thoughts which are unselfish, loving, and nonviolent. Number 3, right speech, abstention from lying, slander, harsh or abusive language, and idle chatter. Number 4, right action, conducting oneself in the moral and peaceful and honorable ways and keeping the basic precepts, which I'll put another thing up here for the precepts, you can see those. Number 5, right livelihood, living honorably in a profession which is in no way harmful to sentient beings, and avoiding such livelihoods of trading weapons, intoxicants, or poisons. Okay, that's a good one. Number 6, right effort, following the 4 right efforts, which we'll go into later. And number 7, right mindfulness, practicing the 4 mindfulnesses. So we've talked about those as well. And I'll see if I can put a thing up there. Now number 8, this is the biggest one, because people get one confused. They think it's right contemplation. It's not. It's right concentration. It says right here, right concentration, developing one's meditation according to the 4 dhyanas, or jhanas, or dharmas, whatever you want to call them. So that's this book. Now if we go on to the Buddha and His Teachings by Narada, that's this one here. And these are all Theravada, so I mean and you find the Eightfold Path in Theravada more than anything. This is on page 180, and it consists of the following 8 factors. This is the Four Noble Truths, and he's talking in the Eightfold Path. The Eightfold Path doesn't stand on its own. It's part of the Four Noble Truths. So here, number 1, right understanding, is samadhi. Right thoughts, samkappa. Right speech, samavaka. Right action, kamanta, like kamanta, right? Right livelihood, samajiva. Right effort, samaviyama. Right mindfulness, samasati. Okay, and then right concentration, it says here, samadhi. Okay, and that is concentration. It's not contemplation, it's concentration. So we see that's the difference between concentration and contemplation. The contemplation is thinking about something. Concentration is being focused. Samadhi is not contemplative. That would be vipassana. And so these here, let's see. I don't think this goes further into. Well, it goes way into it, and we'll go over this at another time. But that's this book. Number 3. We'll go over here. What the Buddha taught by this is probably one of the best books you can get. Wopala Rahula. What the Buddha taught. Super basic, super easy to read. This is on page 49 right here. Thus, the mind is trained and disciplined and developed through the right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. The 2 remaining factors, namely right thought and right understanding, go to constitute wisdom. And then it says down here. Where did I put it? Anyway, this also says right concentration, not contemplation. Okay, just go to that. That's 3 books. But wait, there's more. So in this book here, which I've recently got, there's only about 1,000 copies of this one around. It's kind of hard to find. It's the Common Buddhist Text the guidance and insight from the Buddha. So this was done by Mahachulalongkorn Rajavihalaya, or MCU, in Thailand through the UNDV. Or like in association with UNDV. It was that's where I received it, actually. And this one here, we get to page 269. Now there's two parts in here. This book is really good. This is what I use as one of my main references, because it uses Theravada, basic Mahayana, and Vajrayana. It sees them as three separate groups, and they found the common texts or the common explanations of them. And this is actually pretty darn good. So this one here, T.H. Theravada 99, page 268. The factors of the Noble Eightfold Path. This passage explains the path factors. Now, these are not so much steps on a path as factors that all need to be assembled and then developed in a sufficient degree for the path to do its work. Okay, so this goes through, and what monks is right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditative concentration. Okay, again, concentration. Here a monk, quite withdrawn from sensual desires, withdrawn from unwholesome states of mind, enters and remains in the first meditative absorption. There follows a description of the four meditative absorptions, which you will see next. Okay. Now we go forward to, it doesn't really talk too much about it in the Vajrayana part of the book, but it does talk about it in the Mahayana, here on page 427. This passage starts off by linking two statements found in Theravada 165 and 2 on dependent arising. So what is the Dharma? It says, this is like the second to last paragraph, third to last paragraph on the bottom. It is the Noble Eightfold Path: right view, right resolve, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right meditative concentration. This is what the Blessed One has described as the Dharma, the Noble Eightfold Path, and the attainment of Nirvana, which is its fruit. So that's kind of like, here's one of the things that I have done with the work that I have. So if you go on the website, the www.thecenteredpath.org, and you look up at the top, there'll be a place where you can do some downloads, and you can download a cheat sheet. And the cheat sheet has like 20 or 25 different things that you can look up for the basics of Buddhism. Now, I try to cross-reference them and get them all out of these kind of books here, and I have probably other 45 books up here, including stuff from, my goodness, we have stuff from Bhikkhu Bodhi, from Dhammananda, some from Ajahn Chah, Ajahn Sumedho, even, gosh, what is this one? John Kabat-Zinn, some stuff, but I don't really give that any weight at all. And even some of the Vajrayana people, some Dalai Lama stuff, but he doesn't get into that stuff either. So go to the website, thecenteredpath.org, and download that, and so you can see that, and then you can decide too. You can look into it a little deeper. Don't go on Wikipedia. Wikipedia is like made up, I don't know by who. There is kind of a group that's pretty, not a group, it's a pretty loose association of people that have studied mostly Vajrayana that seem to be pretty well educated and well intended, but they're also pretty skewed in some of their teachings, because, and then there's a lot of ego stuff behind that. We'll get into it later. There are also a lot of authors and stuff, so that gives them some kind of credibility, which, okay, maybe you do, but if you're translating a translation of a translation, it's very difficult to get the right thing, and then you're kind of like, you know, adding your own stuff to it. So this, I'm trying not to do that. I'm trying to be really kind of good with the stuff. I do put this past my teachers, both Venerable Chao Chu and Wolpa and Jigme Dorje of the Kowloon Nyingma. Anyway, so whatever. So go ahead and download that stuff. Give us a comment in the bottom. Give us a thumbs up. Let me know what you think, or if you've seen that too, and maybe what the difference is between concentration and contemplation. And we'll go over a whole, I think, video of that at some point. Anyway, this is Reverend Sean over the Centered Path. I hope you guys are doing well, and keep your studies up. Remember, this is all about cultivating your mind and your spirit and your own philosophies. And cultivating is just like having a garden. You got to have good loose soil so you can get things to grow. And you have to make sure and understand which weeds are which and which are not weeds. And that's how we have to do things. So that's why we have to be precise. So anyway, You guys take care, and I hope you're doing well, and have a lovely day. Bye. Don't forget to subscribe. So this made me think. There's a few words that have to be a little better defined. Samatha or shamatha, which is concentration, which is exactly what it says in the end of the Eightfold Path. It doesn't say dhyana or jhana, which is like absorption. And there are words for like insight, which is vipassana, and there are words for contemplation, which I'll put down here. I don't have my dictionary right with me, but I was thinking about these and like, oh my gosh, what if I'm wrong? In different places we see the same words being used totally differently. And if we're looking at samadhi, we're looking at contemplation, or we're looking at a sitting, right, meditation, we're looking at samatha. And that's what it says in the Eightfold Path, right? So the eighth is samadhi, but that's not contemplation, that's concentration. So that's where there's, I think, confusion. So, but if we start really looking at this and we look at our definitions of concentration, which is the action, the action of power of focusing one's attention or mental effort. So it's attention, that's concentration. Contemplation is going to be looking thoughtfully at something for a long time, different than concentration. Contemplation is thinking about it. And then insight, the last one, here's the capacity to gain an accurate and deep intuitive understanding of a person or thing. An intuitive understanding, so a deep understanding. So these all work in order, actually, and I believe that all three of those then would give you that jhana or dhyana kind of thing, that like really absorption kind of thing, because you're gonna have to sit. Like one of the things I always tell people that I work with and teach is we have to sit to become still. We have to become still to become calm. We have to become calm to see things as they are. And as we see things as we are, we'll start to understand them. As we understand them, we develop wisdom. And that's kind of the same process as sitting in concentration first, then contemplation, and then gaining insight. And all three of those put together would be more like the absorption. So just wanted to like respond to my response, actually, to those, because I did find it in those 4 or 5 different books, and I have other books I found with. I took them all home, so I don't have them here with me. But I took all those books home to look at that a little deeper, and it just occurred to me as I was looking that maybe these three are that. Now, as we look in different websites and different books, I was trying to find like kind of a, I found 5 books that have the common definition, and that really doesn't mean anything, I suppose, does it? Because you find many other resources that may have a little bit different take, but we have to start looking at the actual words themselves and see one also in Buddhism. This happens a lot. Your definitions are skewed, and your definitions are colored by whoever defined them. So there's a lot of mishaps in especially English to hunker down on some words that have very definitive meanings in other languages. And you look at German has a lot of languages. Japanese have a lot of languages. They have a lot of words. Japanese has a lot of words. Chinese has a lot of words that are very difficult to succinctly define in English. And any language, I think, has problems back and forth, and this is one of the reasons we have trouble communicating. It's very difficult. And, but anyway, that's the take on concentration, contemplation, and insight, and the absorptions, which is the jhanas, or dhyanas, depending on how we do it. That's part of the bhavana. And as you start to study, we start to actually think of those. So this is what happened, is I made a video on the Eightfold Path, and we were talking about the last part of the Eightfold Path, and there were some comments that, that's not the last part. It's not concentration. It's contemplation and all this kind of stuff. But we have to look at like what does that actually mean, and what's the steps that are involved in that. And we see this, like I see it anyway, this is a much broader thing, which actually adds to the richness of it if you start to really do the process and thinking yourself. And this is where we come up with the definition of the self related to the rest of the world. It's an individual thing, guys. I mean, it's always going to be an individual thing. In Jungian psychology, it's the same idea. You're going to have the persona and the self and the ego and all these kind of the shadow and all this kind of stuff. And we're going to start seeing those kind of things as we do our process in meditation and the development of our mind, the cultivation of our mind. My garden is not like yours. I don't like the same plants. You don't like the same plants. We have different soil textures and all this kind of stuff. So if we look at it just that way, we can see a lot of different changes. So anyway, so that's it on this. I'll expand upon it later. Don't forget to leave a comment. I mean, I've already ended the other one, but I'm just adding this on, of course, to the end. Hopefully you're still watching, and leave a comment, a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. And let's start dialogue on this, and we'll discuss it, and we can see where it goes from there. Okay, take care, guys. Bye.